Watch this.
Wake up to reality.
All right, welcome to Reality Tonic. I am your host, Spencer, alongside with my co-host, Rob. Rob, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Very excited. Do you want to know why I'm excited?
Yes, please tell me.
We are officially global. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because we're, when we do our thing, we're in the U.S., right? Usually all of our guests are all around the country. We were nationwide, but now we're global. Because our next guest, Rommie Buhler, who is a holistic animal health coach, is joining us from Australia. Wow. Do you believe that, Rob?
I can't believe it. It's a world away.
Okay, so Rommie's here. Rommie, how are you?
I'm excellent. Better now I'm here.
That's right. So where you are, what time is it right now?
It is 11:05 a.m. I'm on the east coast of Australia in Brisbane.
Wow. So this is the
Which
real
probably
deal.
means nothing to you, but it's kind of subtropics. Pretty nice.
What this means to me is it's amazing how it's 9 p.m. Thursday here and it's 11 a.m. Friday there.
I know. It's a hard one to get your head around.
Yes. Now, your accent to us stands out. It's exciting. I mentioned before, you sound very smart already. What do we sound like to you? Like knuckleheads?
No, not at all. In fact, I would think that you sound smarter than us. The
Really?
Australian accent for me is just like fingernails on a blackboard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
When we hear ourselves, it's like, ugh.
Really?
No,
See, for us,
come
you
on.
could say anything. You could insult me. I'd be like, she's just so classy and she gets it,
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for joining us. Now, I mentioned, you're a holistic animal health coach. What does that mean for people listening?
I know that's like a whole lot of words, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the important part on all of that, I guess, is the holistic part, because I'm not a great follower of Western medicine for people or animals. So it's important for people to know that the way that I speak to animals and the way that I care for them is very holistic. So that's why that bit's there. An animal health coach, I could have just done that. But so basically I am a mixture of things. I'm an animal communicator, which means I talk to animals. I talk to animals using their language, which, we can come into shortly. And I do energy work on them to help them either heal an injury or an emotional or a physical issue that's going on, or just to make them feel good coming into that time where they're passing. And I help find missing animals through intuition, and I'm a medical intuitive. So I scan the body and the organs and have a look and see when an animal's been to vet after vet after vet and there's no resolution. I try and help with that. So I'm a bit of all of that. And then we just kind of, I have clients that I've been seeing for years that are constantly coming back with sort of new issues or the same issue that we just need to kind of keep working on, keep talking to them, keep finding ways to actually solve whatever the problem is.
Wow. So when did you realize you were cooler than everybody else?
Oh, no, I'm so cool. Thanks for reminding me.
Yes.
Look, I've been intuitive for people forever, in different ways. And my husband had terminal cancer diagnosis maybe 11 years ago now. And I thought, so he gave up work pretty much straight away. He went and bought a gym because that's what you do when you have 8 months to live. So I thought, we've got a dog with anxiety. He's got nothing much to do. I reckon he'd be really good at this because he's kind of the next best thing to the Dalai Lama, and he'd be really good at it. So I collected all this information back when there were DVDs and you'd buy normal books from a bookstore, and collecting Google articles and whatnot. And I'm just kind of shuffling them over saying, sort Kenny out because, he's got issues and we need to fix that. And he's going, yeah, that's really interesting. But yeah, you read it and you just tell me what happens, not realizing that, of course, all of that drive and interest and fascination was for myself, because as Facebook happens, back sort of in the early days of Facebook, I guess, it popped up on my feed, an animal communicator from Australia, and she was running a mentoring program. And I thought, oh, I don't even know what that is. Let's do that. And so I signed up with her, and she's given me this test. So she said, I'm going to send over images to you of some of my clients, and I want you to tell me what you get. And I've gone, I don't even know what that means. So I'm sitting there on the end of the phone with my feet up on the desk. I'm just going, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I felt like I was doing a school exam and I was about to fail. And then all of a sudden, all of this information just comes through. There was actually a guy that she had, and it will stick with me for a long time, but there was a guy that she had, and she'd been treating him for quite some time. And she's sort of, telepathy is just kind of sending information through images, through words, thoughts, feelings, taste or smell. And so she was sending over images to me, and I'm sitting there feeling really dumb. You think Australians are smart. I was feeling really dumb that day. And then all of a sudden, everything just kind of came in, and I see this blood kind of swirling at his throat, and I'm feeling like, you know, I said to her, oh, he's 42, he's from the Gold Coast, he's a surfer. I was getting this image of him with his wetsuit down to his hips and his surfboard under his arm. And, you know, there's blood in his throat. So I don't know, let's say cancer, just because that sounds like a good thing. And she said, what does he need to help him? And I just got in my inner vision this scripted word of love. And I said, I think he just needs a big hug. I think he's physically okay. I just think he needs a bit of love. And so his name was Ray. He was 42. He was from the Gold Coast. He was a surfer. He'd been coming back from a nightclub 3 years prior, and he got stabbed in the back of the neck, and it came through here, which is kind of where I saw this image of swirling.
And when you
blood.
say through here for our listeners, you're talking the throat, like in the front. So it went from the back.
Yeah.
Into the front. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. From the back of the neck, and it came through into the front of the throat there, down the base, top of the sternum. And so I was riveted then. It's like, man, this is really good. Like, I knew I was intuitive, but not this way. And so then, you know, of course, she's given me a whole lot of animals. And then she said, righto, off you go. Get yourself a Facebook page and do it. So I did. And from that day forth, I've just not stopped.
Wow. Okay. So we communicate with animals. Before you didn't, but you as time went on and in your meeting with other experts in the field, this is something we can acquire. This, like Rob and I can go out and do this. This is something that you can learn.
100%. Everybody is intuitive, and that's what I say to everyone. You know, we're born with this. It's not some kind. It's not a gift. It's not some kind of strange talent I picked up off the sidewalk. It's innate within us. So we are born that way, and we're kind of quite good at it as a kid. And then whatever happens, you know, school happens and we get a little bit more analytical. That's a big problem. We sort of lose touch with our sense of knowing and all that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. It's something that I run courses on animal communication and intuitive development just in general.
So when you talk to animals, you can have a conversation with animals?
Yes.
What does it sound like? Is there a particular voice? Like, I don't know if you've seen Homeward Bound, right? If you get the older dog, right?
I haven't, no.
Does he sound like an old... Yeah, so basically it's dogs, and then they have human voices, and they're telling the story, right? So, I mean, realistically, it's just dogs running around doing cool stuff, but they have audio tracks, and you're following the story. Does an animal, when they speak to you, sound like how a human or like a grown man or a grown woman is speaking to you?
Yeah. You just reminded me. I'm going to come into that in a sec. You just reminded me. There was a Dr. Dolittle clip on YouTube that I looked at once, and I thought, I want to actually see what that animal was. It was a little monkey, I think. I want to see what that monkey's actually saying while they're doing the voiceover of that animal, and it wasn't the same. So yeah, they do. They're all unique, you know, and they have their voices, they have their personalities, and when we have pets in our lives, you know, different to wild animals, of course, but when we have domesticated animals around us, we can kind of figure out how they would sound. And, you know, just because we get to know them really well. So, yeah, they do. They have their male or female voice. They've got the fast, you know, the high speed language. They use their own words sometimes, because sometimes I can't think of any off the top of my head, but sometimes I'll have a conversation with one and I'll think, oh, that's not how I speak. okay, well, we'll just kind of, when I have a client, which is usually on Zoom, I'll just say what they've said. So they have their own kind of words and their own personality and their own pace and their own tone. Yeah.
So you mean to tell me if I have a cat that just popped up behind me and he's just doing his thing and, you know, they does a standard headbutt and then has the tail go across my face, all that nutty stuff. You know what he's saying something and you know what he's saying?
He's possibly saying something, but I could have a conversation with him. Wow, I could ask him questions.
Would it look like let's say it was on, I'm watching this whole thing. Does he look at you and talk, or could he still just be doing his thing and having a conversation with you?
Yeah, no, he'll still be doing his thing. And often, you know, because I have clients all over the world and they'll say, oh, do I need to have my horse there? I don't know if I've got reception out there in the paddock and, or, you know, my dog. And so, you know, it doesn't matter, because what happens is you'll be talking to a dog, say, and you'll see them on the lounge there and they'll just be licking their bum or something like that. And then they'll wander off, not interested one little bit. But I'm still communicating with them. And then on the odd occasion, especially with cats, they know, hypersensitive, they know stuff's going on and they will come in from afar. You won't be seeing them for hours, and then I'll sort of tune in and have a chat with them, with their parent, human parent, and they'll just appear.
So just so I have this correct, I tell you, hey, listen, I got this horse acting a little weird. I don't know what's going on. I have no reception. I can't show you the horse. How do you zone out on my particular horse and know what my horse is saying from across the world?
What happens first up, you know, well, I have a website and people book, but they attach a photo of their horse with the name and the sex. And I don't actually need that per se. I could probably just talk to your cat now if you actually have one, but I don't. This is just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it is, isn't it? It still blows me away that I get to do this. But it's just sometimes if there's a lot of animals in a house, or there's animals kind of in spirit world and they're vying for attention, then to know their sex and their age can kind of separate them a little bit, so you can know who you're talking to.
Okay.
Because sometimes, you know, if I've spoken to someone and they've got a house full of animals, and I'm describing a personality or something like that, and they go, oh, no, that's really Felix. You know, that's not Roger. But it may be that I am actually reading the wrong animal, because they're all, you know, there's one wants to get in. There's usually a spokesperson for a group.
Really?
So,
now, would that spokesperson be like the alpha animal in the house, or could the spokesperson be one of my goldfish in the tank?
Yeah.
Compared to if I have a dog or a cat and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It could, whoever has something to say, whoever's loud and, you know, forthright, they'll get in first.
Okay.
So the reserved ones often stay back and the loud ones will come forward, but you can talk to them individually.
Wow. Rob, you wanted to ask something.
Well, I'm curious, you know, you said that you talk to animals that are all over the world. So like if there's a horse in Japan, it speaks English, doesn't, you know, speak Japanese or anything like that, or just find that, you know, they all speak English?
That's a great question. And actually, it has, you know, the way that sort of the intuitive side works is it has to be shown to you in a way that you understand. And so it has to be English, because I'm not actually that smart. That's the only language I know.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And I'm not observing body language. So if they were trying to show me something, and I don't really have them with me most of the time anyway, it's just an image. So no, English for me. But if you were Spanish and that's the only language you spoke, you know, they would communicate with you in that way. But often too, so I'm fortunate, I guess, that I have all of the senses pretty honed, probably because I do missing animals and stuff. But so it'll be shown to me, I'll get an image, which is not a language. So I'll get an image running through, which might be a still image, or it might be like a video screen running. And then I'll get a feeling. So, oh, yeah, something's not right here. He's not feeling well. Or I might start coughing. Okay, what's going on? There might be something going on in the throat or the digestive system if I feel sick. So again, that's not really languages, but the clairaudience, which is clear hearing, is what that means. That obviously has to be English, because that's my language. And that might drop in as a word or a paragraph or a sentence or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, when you're walking, let's say you're walking downtown or whatever, I hear some birds chirping. I hear people talking. It's just like obviously outdoor noises and stuff like that. Are you just hearing a bunch of animals just talking and like doing wild stuff? Like that's part of what you're hearing all the time? Or is it something that you can, kind of focus in on and channel that?
Yeah, that sometimes I'll hear it just because it's loud, even though I'm not kind of looking for it. Sometimes I usually have my door closed. I've got my sign out, intuitive sign out saying I'm not open for business. Otherwise, you'd just be like people as well. Like, it's the same for people and animals. I'd be very busy and it can take quite a bit of energy. So when I'm walking down the street, unless I want to talk to an animal, most of the time I'm just, off doing human things. But I used to live on the other side of Australia and we were backed up into a national park and I used to go for a walk around there and I'd go down this little track. This particular day I was going down this track and this parrot just comes screaming past my face. He's like, "Get out of the way, lady." And
that's what you hear though? Seriously? Like,
yeah.
You don't sense that? Because I could sense that, right? Be like, okay, whoa, oh, holy moly, right? But you hear "Get out of the way, lady."
Yeah, that's exactly what I heard.
Wow.
And then over here is a kangaroo. And so this kangaroo, and there's quite a few of them actually, but there was one that stopped and looked at me and I stopped and this particular time I actually connected with him. So he wasn't talking to me and I just heard it. I tuned into him and just tried to connect. And I said, he was really grumpy too. I said to him, "Where are you off to?" And he said, "The tree." And I said, "Oh, we're in a national park. Like, what tree?" And he's like eye rolling. "Is the tree we always go to?" And he's kind of just bounced off.
Wow.
So but now when are you talking to them like verbally or is it all like...
No, it's all from here.
Okay, from your head. Okay.
If
I
I'm
wouldn't be
with
like that lady's talking to a freaking kangaroo. I would have no idea, right? I would just think you're looking at them. Okay.
Yeah. No, but because they're very, animals are really funny. And sometimes I just like, I'll just laugh out loud. And, while I'm by myself walking down the park with the dog, it's because someone's done something funny or said something funny.
Do animals make fun of other people? Like Rob, he's obviously a goofball as far as in human life. It's like, what's going on here, right? Will a kangaroo be like, "Wow, that kid's a mess"? Like, do they make fun of him with you and stuff, or are they judgment free?
Oh, look, they're they're very direct, especially wild animals. They say it how it is. So judgment free. They have a lot to say about their person. There's all the time. They're always talking about their parent. And I had a lady who this cat that she had didn't like its name, so we had to do a name change conversation.
Holy moly.
And she had this, so she was in a block of units and down on the ground floor, she was up a couple of levels, I think. I didn't know her or where she was, so I wasn't not really sure, but she was up. And this cat used to lie on this white blanket and look down out the window at these two neighbours down the bottom, two guys. And this cat is like, she's got to get away from here. These people are evil. They're not good company in this block of units. And I said to her, this was just an email chat actually with her. I said to her, "Do you have two, sort of 20, 30-year-old guys that live downstairs that look a bit dodgy?" And she said, "Yeah, I do. I don't like them." I said, "Well, your cat, who doesn't like its name, you got to get out of there. You got to move. She wants you to move." And she did end up moving actually after a while, not because of them, I don't think, but at least be cautious. So, and the cat also said, "Mum's high maintenance. She's highly strung and she needs to meditate more. And this is the way she needs to meditate." So there's a lot of information that comes through. They know exactly what you're doing. And I tell you a classic example. We lived in this house and we had this 74-year-old pain in the neck bloke that lived over the back. And we didn't really have fences as such. We were on half an acre. And he used to jump over our fence line and cut our trees down or kill our trees, or, we had a little creek and a bridge would be over there and he'd be taking the bridge away. And so, "Murray, what are you doing?" Anyway, we had conflict going on there. But we had 2 dogs and 2 cats at the time, and the cats were always over that side. And I'd say to them, "What's Murray up to?" And they say, "Murray's down near the bamboo today. You just watch him because he's going to be taking the pails off that bridge soon." And sure enough.
So can you find out if animals are have you ever had, when you have a client, have you ever had an animal be like, I hate this bitch. I want nothing to do with her. I want to move out. Like, I'm done. Like, do you have to have that conversation with an owner sometimes?
I haven't had that one, touch wood.
Mm-hmm. And would you tell the owner? Would you be like, "Listen, your cat hates you"?
Yeah. Look, with missing animals, people think they just get lost or they get stolen or they're missing for whatever reason. Animals can very often go missing because they don't like the circumstances in the house, like new boyfriends come in, or, the kids are terrorists or whatever it is. They don't like something in the house, or they've done their time there. They especially cats. Cats don't really need company. They're not group animals as such. So they leave on purpose and they don't want to be found. They're a bit cranky if they do get found, but mostly they're quite elusive and they will be missing forever. But so there's that kind of thing. And in that situation, it's really hard. And because what I find is when I get on a roll, I'm just kind of churning out this information. And then I think, oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't have said it that way.
Yeah.
So I've got to I'm practicing that part.
So when
how to actually relay.
So my cat has done a couple overnighters outside, I think 3 times, and it's 12 years of living. And my cat does not like me. I can tell you, I don't need to even have. You and I don't even have an email thing back and forth. My cat does not like me. Infatuated with my wife, right? But I'm usually I usually lock up before bed and stuff like that. Maybe I made a couple mistakes where I let him out, right? By mistake. But there's other times where the door's just kind of cracked. He had to put some effort in to get outside. When he's gone for 24 hours, you mean to tell me he knows what he's doing? Like, he knows he's going to get me in trouble and get my wife all riled up? Because he shows up the next day around 6:30 in the morning like nothing ever happened, right? Does he know there's a chance that he did that on purpose?
There's a chance that he went outside on purpose because he wants to be outside. Indoor cats, I mean, I know this is a thing, but they hate it and it's boring for them. They are built to hunt and chase stuff. And so outside is where that happens. So he probably would have intentionally gone outside because he wanted to be outside, and particularly at nighttime because that's the best time. He would have known the repercussions when that happened. So if you were getting in trouble, he would have been aware that would have happened. But he wouldn't have. They're not there to create a drama.
Are you sure? Because my cat creates a lot of drama. Yeah, that is human stuff. Yeah. If I'm trying to, my wife again loves the cat. I could care less. Trying to find the cat again, accusing me of letting the cat out. She's calling his name. 20 minutes later, he appears somewhere. Is there a chance that he's been hearing her call his name and he just doesn't feel like coming up?
Yeah.
Wow.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yes.
She's not going to like that. Well, she's not going to like that.
What you can do, and I do this with mine. I had a cat that I was really very connected to, and I could say to him, walk over the top of the lounge and come down and lie on my chest. And he'd think about it, and then he would do it 99% of the time. Or I'd say, go over there and sit on that thing. And I would show him, like I'd impress the images across into his mind and say the words through my mind or out loud. And he was very, we had a strong connection that we could communicate on that level. His sister, on the other hand, is totally different, but he loved to fight and he loved to be outside. And so, his rules were that I want you in by 5 p.m. or I want you in before night. And I want to see your little face at the back door because we didn't have a cat door at the time. And if he didn't come in, I would in shamanic world, they call it shape-shifting. And I do this a lot, especially with missing animals and the medical intuition. But I kind of become them. If you think that we're all energy and we are all connected, I just kind of become, my energy merges with theirs. And so I'd feel under his feet, like, what's he on? Okay, we've got some dead leaves under there. Okay. All right, what's under his belly? Yeah, a bit of dead leaves and wet sand. And what can I see out of his eyes? Oh, there's the limestone bricks. He's out the front sitting on those bricks looking over to those white cats that lived up there. So I knew where he was. So she could do that. She could just, take a moment, a few deep breaths, close her eyes, and just kind of feel herself becoming your cat or her cat, because, if it's her cat, and then just see if she can feel under her feet, or, these are my front paws. What am I feeling here? Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it cement? Is it dirt? That kind of stuff. What can I smell?
Wow.
Wow.
That is so cool.
Some pretty intense stuff. It's the real deal. Now, Rob, do you have a question? Because I was going to switch. Okay.
I was curious what, of all the animals that you've talked to, what is like the easiest animal to communicate with? Or is it just the same sort of thing for any animal?
No, look, I find, no, it's not. Horses, I find the easiest. They're very clear. They're very loud.
That's
most
kind
of
of
them
what
have
I
a lot to say.
would expect, like, because humans have rode horses forever, and they could just go and, like, there's so much information, and that just stuff like that. So
yeah, cats and dogs, they are harder or easier depending on whether they want to talk to you. Sometimes they don't want to talk to you. And it's like, not yet, give me 5, or come back tomorrow, or something like that. So and then, like humans, you've got 2 kids. One's really loud and extroverted, and the other one's just hides under the bed and really introverted. It's easier to talk to the extrovert. Animals are the same. They have their personalities where it's easier or harder.
So can you talk, Rob, I'm going to steal your question, because, me and Rob are very excited about this interview.
Yeah.
Can you talk to insects and stuff? Can you talk to an ant?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can talk to absolutely anything. You could talk to a tree. Now, I know that's getting a little bit woo-woo.
No, please go on.
That's okay. Yeah.
You can talk to anything.
You can talk to a tree.
Yeah.
What's
I don't talk to too many trees. I have done it just because. And I feel like we've just bought a new house, but we've been looking for, thank you very much. We've been looking for quite some time. The market here is horrendous. Like, one house goes on the market and 1,000 people are buying it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know what sort of land it's on. So I kind of blend with the land under the house. Where I live in this area, there's a lot of Aboriginal land. So that, I've got a map of where the hangings and the killings were, and where the women's area and where the men's area and all that sort of stuff is. So you need to be a little bit careful where you're buying. And because we're in this kind of zone, I particularly wanted to feel the land and say, okay, is this land full of, like water and mud and slush that you're going to have mold issues? Is it just, you're just going to get robbed and have your car stolen and, just trouble all of the time? Or is it, going to hold you up and be good land, good property? So it's that kind of stuff. Like, I just feel into things.
Okay.
And trees, there's a beautiful, whatever it is, tree up the road here, and it's concreted in the middle of a road. And it looks magnificent. And I thought, I just want to see how that tree feels about being, there's bitumen or asphalt all around it, and there's curbs, and it's a magnificent tree that should be out there in the bush. And this tree feels really unwell. So it may have a short lifespan, perhaps.
If I get bit by a tick, okay, we're all surrounding, you get the tweezers, you're pulling it out. Can you be like, hey, get out of there? Like, you could get him sick. Like, and is a tick like, fuck it, I don't care, I don't like, like, do they know they're being nasty?
Oh, well, they're just doing their job. They just want a part of you.
But what does a tick say to you? I mean, or is there a verbal with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. You could talk to a tick. I haven't spoken to a tick. We haven't had that problem for a long time where we are, but you could, this is the thing with all animals, you can say whatever you want. And this is what, animal communication in itself is getting the why. Why are you behaving that way? Why are you stuck in burrowing into my arm? Or, why? And then you can try and have the conversation to get out or change your behavior or whatever. And then they sit there and they go, no, I'm pretty happy here. This is good blood. I'm staying.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
you still, like humans, you can have the conversation, but you may not change the behavior.
But you can talk to a great white shark.
Wow.
I can.
Well, I was curious if you'd ever
Mm.
had the chance to communicate with a dolphin, because they're supposed to be like one of the smartest creatures on the planet. I just figured they'd have a lot to say,
They would. They'd be very chatty, I imagine. Actually, I haven't, which is pretty, it's kind of unusual. I think I've gone for other animals for whatever reason. Actually, I'll sit to chat with a particular animal, and I'll get some rogue from some other country come in. So you can sometimes not actually connect with the animal that you're wanting to talk to. But I haven't specifically sat down to talk to dolphins. But yeah.
Wow.
There's so much
Yeah.
here. This is awesome. So, okay. You mentioned animals getting lost. If I live in a rural town of Massachusetts in America, you can say, Spencer, don't freak out. Your dog is on Pine Hill Road or whatever, or do you just know like a general, like a landmark?
Yeah, I wish it was as easy as that. I actually wish you'd get a GPS coordinate, but it doesn't quite work like that. And, a lot of it also depends on the energy of the animal. If an animal's been missing for a long time and they're trapped, then their energy starts to wane as well. So you got to try and, connect in with something that's pretty sluggish. But what I do is I get kind of a general impression, like, how are you feeling? Why did you leave? That's always a good question. I had a cat that got stuck under a boat cover in their neighbour's garage, and the boat went off to the boat ramp about 20 k's away, and the cat's still inside the back of the boat. And then the cat gets out, and then the cat is missing. Now, I don't think she ever found that cat, but it can be really tricky, especially if a dog or a cat doesn't know where they are. Especially, dogs, well, both of them actually, they just take off. If they've been startled, they bolt and they pay no attention to their landmarks around them. So I kind of step over them a little bit. I become them, and I try and feel under their feet, smell what they smell. And that might be, I smell hamburgers. Okay, maybe there's a McDonald's around. So it's the intuitive and the analytical that kind of go at the same time, the way I work anyway. And, what do I hear? I hear a train. Okay, what part of the ride is the train in? It's screeching and it's slowing down. So, okay, it sounds like it's coming into a station. Okay, we've got a station nearby. And I might try and get show me a man-made landmark within half a mile from Fritz. And then I might get a McDonald's arch, or I might get, and it's like that. It's just a flash of information. Or I might get a Repco, motor oil, or a Formula One logo or something like that. And so, okay, this is kind of the area. Okay. But it can be difficult. We had a police dog that went missing here beginning of this year that I got involved in a little bit. And it was a dog they were chasing, some young thief, and he slipped his lead and the GPS tracker didn't work. So there's a couple of issues going there. So and it was in bushland within a city sort of suburb. And, there was just, I'm trying to hear from the dog's perspective, what can I hear around here? And I'm hearing helicopters over the top, and I'm seeing, all of this industrial sort of area. I'm smelling perfume on a rubbish tip, and all of that was there. It's like, man, we are so close. And I'm asking the dog, have they been past you? Yes, many times, but they haven't seen me. And so it's like, okay, guys, you've been past him, so retrace your steps. But it's not, I can get a map out, and I can, what they call dowsing, where you do different things to try and get a location. And sometimes you hit the money. And a lot of the time it's just, and especially if they don't want to be found, you'll just be dowsing on some other suburb altogether. So it's not easy, but it can certainly help.
From an ethical standpoint, if the animal tells you, listen, I want nothing to do with these people, I'm out of here, and you know where they are, but you know in your heart of hearts this animal does not want to return home, do you tell the owner what the deal is? Do you hide that information from them? Like, what do you do?
I would tell them.
Okay.
It'd be how you tell them is the difficult part.
But would you say where they are, or would you say, listen, I can't tell you because they don't want me to tell you?
I probably wouldn't tell them.
Wow.
The location or the area.
Have you had to do that before?
I haven't had to do that before. No.
Can you imagine that? We go, hey, found this person online. This is great. She's like, I know exactly where your animal is, but I can't tell you. They don't want to come home.
They want nothing to do with you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was curious, what's like, what's the longest time a missing animal, like how long have they been gone? Like the longest time that you found one, like, oh, this dog was gone for 6 months, and then you found him. Just kind of curious of that.
I had a great dog up in Whidbey Island, just near Seattle there, who was missing. We were working on him for about 12 months, but he passed. So we didn't find him. So that doesn't really answer that question. But the longest for me is probably 3 months.
Wow.
And so, I kind of get more the fresh cases, I guess, where they've just gone missing or they've been missing for a couple of weeks or something like that. I don't get too much of the old stuff these days. But I had a cat in Venice Beach or Santa Monica, that area, the cat's parents were moving to Maui and they were there, or I think Dad was kind of back and forth. Excuse me. But this cat was at the vet waiting for the quarantine paperwork so they could move the cat down with them. And she Houdini'd out the window. And so, of course, there's a mad panic. The cat had been missing for a little while by the time I got involved. And Dad was coming back. She must have been missing for 3 weeks or something like that. He'd come back every weekend to search the area. And so I saw this 2-story light blue, sky blue kind of color with white trims on the windows. And, on my map, it's like, this cat is like 500 meters away, or, whatever, third of a mile.
No, it works.
Yeah, whatever, something like that, less than a mile. So pretty close. And I feel in this area, like I feel this kind of street or that street, but right in this area. And you've got to get down low. You've got to get down on your belly. So the cat's either under a basement or a drain or a stairwell or something like that. Anyway, he'd come back and he was flying back to Maui the next day. This was his last ditch effort. And he found what he thought was what I described. And there was some more information there that I can't remember now. But he went off, he got a cat trap and put it out the front, and he went off to the bottle shop to buy a couple of beers to have while he sat there. So this is like 8 o'clock at night or something. And by the time he'd gone to the bottle-o and he'd come back, the cat was in the cage.
Wow.
So it was a happy ending.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's good when you find them.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, that's awesome. Do dogs and cats communicate how you and I would communicate, like with each other? Is there any animal, like, does a dog talk to my fish tank and know, like, what my yellowfish is doing or whatever?
If they want to, yeah. All animals communicate with each other through same way, through telepathy. Okay. So yeah, if they all have their little round table sometimes, have a chat.
Really? I wonder that, because my cat will like be mean to my dog throughout the day, and then at the end of the night he just goes up and he basically sits right on him, starts licking his ear, whatever. It's a weird, my dog just lets it go down. So it's a weird dynamic there, but they're talking, they're doing their thing. They know, my dog knows when my cat's about to be a jerk if my cat decides to tell him.
Wow.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. If your cat tells him, for sure.
Wow. Okay.
But they don't tend to, or what I've found anyway, they don't sit there and have endless conversations like we do. So
they enjoy the silence.
Yeah. And it may not be intentional conversation. You know, they might just throw out an image of, oh, there's a mouse or a bird. I'm going to go out there and hunt that down. And the dog has seen that image. So they it's not necessarily a direct communication, but they can see and sense what's going on with each other for sure.
When I have some people, you know, when they leave the house, they'll have the TV on or something like that. I'll even put on Animal Planet. Some may argue they don't know that's just noise, or others are like, oh no, they're watching other animals on TV and that stuff. Can a dog successfully watch a movie and retain the information?
Good question. I would say no.
Interesting.
I would say that it's a bit more like a 5-year-old kid watching a long movie and trying to retain it.
Yeah, my son.
And it's just,
yeah, it's crazy. Wow.
I got one. So I know you said when you're preparing to search for an animal that you mostly just need a picture, right? To sort of, just curious what the preparations are like.
All right, let's do this. I go to you. We set up an appointment. What do you need from me? And then to go with Rob's point, how do you work? Take us through it. What does a customer expect when they deal with you?
So what I do is about half an hour beforehand. Actually, what happens, to be honest, is I get the booking. I've got an online booking system, and it will flag up an email to me with the information on the form that they fill out, which is a photo of their animal, their age and the name. So I've usually seen that when the booking comes through. And then I'll go off on my merry way for 1, 2, 3 weeks, however long, wherever the booking is. But information is starting to come through straight away. So I might, and because I'm practiced in it, I actually pay attention for that stuff. So I might look at that and I might feel really sick. And I think, oh, we've got a health issue here. We might need to look at nutrition and what they're eating. And so I might send them an email and say, hey, get on hand what you're feeding your dog, cat, horse, whatever. And, have that ready for, because I want to talk to you about that. Or I might just get a word, or I might get a feeling of just like bristling anger and aggression, and like I might hear like a hissing cat. And I think, oh, okay, we've got some behavior stuff going on. And so then on the actual day, half an hour beforehand, I'll just, I really like drums. I used to play the drums when I was at school. So I like that kind of bassy sound. Mm-hmm. And so I have a Spotify. It's a shamanic drumming thing that I listen to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It just kind of gets me in my zone. Like, some people need to be really quiet and meditate, and some like to have really loud music. I just kind of get my notepad out and I write the name of the animal and the parent and the date and time and the age and sex. And then I just kind of listen to this sound and anything that comes through, because it's already been coming through. I'll start writing it down, and then I'll try and tune in to them first up, and I'll get a sense of their essence. So what is their personality? What do they feel like? They're really funny. This dog has got a sense of humor, and I'm showing it doing tricks and jumping around like a crazy dog. And I feel like they're really funny. So I write that down. And then I think, I wonder whether their parent suffers from depression, because funny animals usually hook up with depressed parents. So I'll just write a little note on that, and just to check out. And so I just sort of make notes, and I just kind of get into it. And then we hook up on Zoom like we're doing here. And then I will really get into it then. So I have a whole lot of, I guess, spiritual assistance, and I have a lot of Native American guides that come through for me. And so I bring them all in like a posse, and I have this sort of one voice. So I have a lot of guides that speak in one voice, unless I'm specifically asking, like if I'm tracking something, I have my tracking guides, and they won't talk to me about anything else. So that's kind of how I set up. But, I go to the gym and someone says to me, "Oh, this is happening," and I just bang them straight in for them, them or their animal. So I don't really need to do much preparation. And I think the more you sit and do preparation, the more distracted I get.
Okay, interesting. No, that
Didn't
makes
know
sense.
if it would help to have, like an item the animal played with, or, their scent or anything, of that. But it's all just energy, just different.
Yeah, that's right. And that's it's called psychometry. When you hold, you see the mediums out there and they will hold someone's watch or something like that. I remember my cat went missing. I had a little kitten back in 1991 or something like that. I was living in Sydney, and one of my flatmates left the door open, and then someone that was cutting a tree down over the back came and stole her. And so here I am. I've had no experience with intuitives to this date. Here I am. I've got a bit of kitty litter, and I've got the unwashed food bowl and the collar in a plastic bag, and off I've gone and I've found this tarot reader, and I've laid all this stuff out in front of her, and she's like, "Oh no, I don't need that." It's like, "Oh, but this is fresh." It's
You gave her a
just
bag
gone.
so for folks listening at home, you gave her a bag of litter, and what else? What else?
Little bit of kitty litter, his food bowl which I hadn't washed, and his collar.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't need it.
Yeah. So,
Okay. So can let's get deep now for a second.
Okay, go.
So looked on your Instagram. I noticed there's a lot of, or there was a few of, animals passing, right? People get really upset. Sometimes just this is all a person has in life. Their beloved cat of 15 years, whatever. So what an animal's thoughts are during the time of passing and things like that?
Yeah.
Are you able to, so you're able to tell me what my animal, let's say my animal already has passed. And I say, listen, I feel awful. Stanley, my cat Stanley, RIP Stanley, it was 2012. He was 14 years old. Took him to the vet. We never took him to the vet. Finally took him to the vet because he was looking rough. Take him there. The vet's like, oh, this is not good. We can run labs. That's, $1,000, or I recommend we should put him down, right? I gave him a kiss. He made some noise, get away from me. I want nothing to do with you right now. And then they took him in the back, and then they brought him in a box, right? You can tell me what my cat was thinking in 2011, or does that require way too much more work?
No, you can actually connect him with a past cat.
Don't do it. Don't you scare me. I don't want to. So can you connect? You can talk to the dead of the animal, the deceased animals.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I do that often.
That is something you can learn that as well. That's not just people are born with it. Okay.
Yeah. They say that, so mediumship is when you connect with someone in spirit, someone that's passed. And they say that all mediums are intuitive, but not all intuitives are mediums. So the jury's out on that, from my opinion, because I think you can. It's not really no different. You're connecting to energy. So I think you can connect with past animals. Anyone can.
So to go, I asked you a previous question, if you're just walking and if you're hearing a bunch of noises and stuff like that, you're hearing different animals. Do you see dead, deceased animals walking around? And if so, are they like ghosts? Do you hear them all the time, or do you have to channel, you have to find my cat Stanley from 2011? Or are you just seeing all of them?
Get the Rolodex out.
Yeah.
That's one reason why it took me so long to really jump into this field, because for whatever reason, Hollywood, I would say, way back, I thought that I would have dead people, blood and guts on my walls, and skeletons lying on my lounge and in the corners and hiding in my wardrobe, and it scared the crap out of me. And I was certain that's how it looked. That's not how it looks for me at all. So for past anything, to see it out there in front of you, that's very rare. People do, but it's not very common. It's mostly, 99% say, of people see that in their mind. And so, and again, I'm not the same as everybody else doing this sort of stuff, but I get a flash of a shadow run through over somewhere behind me, and and I just kind of know that that might be one of my cats, and then I can tune into that. But I don't necessarily see spirits just randomly. If there's a weird energy in my bedroom or something like that, I'll actually put a bit of focus on it.
Yeah.
And I might see an old lady. This is an example of an old house I lived in, because we lived a street back from the biggest cemetery in the state that I live in. It's a stupid house to buy. And the cats just went nuts because they're hypersensitive and they see all this sort of stuff. And it was causing a bit of illness. So I needed to clear this out of my house. And there's this little old lady sitting behind my bookcase in the corner. And
I told you not to scare me.
No, that's
please
scary.
continue. Please
it's pretty cool though, don't you reckon?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. It's cool to hear the story. I would have a meltdown if it happened to me.
I would.
No, she had dementia and she just hadn't gone. She was still there.
Wow. Can you feel like for instance, you said you're in a new house that you bought. Now, when you're in the new house, can you feel like, you know what, there was definitely dogs here at some point, and you can feel sort of if there were ever pets in the house before you purchased it, unless it's a brand new house,
Yeah, you could absolutely.
Wow.
So when you know when an animal's going to pass, like, can you look at your cat and know, like, okay, in 37 months it's game over or something like that? Or how does that whole thing work?
I don't want to go down that path with my own animals. I know that they will, because I just do. But and I know when they're unwell, they're probably not far off. And I had a cat that had kidney cancer, and he died 18 months ago.
Oh.
And the beauty of so I kind of knew when it was getting close, and I asked him, "How do you want to pass?" And he said, "I want you to bury me under the hedge out in the back garden." I said, "Okay." He wanted to pass himself for a start, not to be put down, and he wanted to pass under the hedge. And so this can change, you see, because this is about 3 weeks leading up to him actually dying. And so I'd say to him, "How are you feeling today? What do you need from me?" And it got to the point where he couldn't really walk very well. And I'd say to him, "Do you need me to carry you somewhere to the kitty litter?" And he'd say he needs to go outside to the kitty litter. So we were able to have these conversations leading up to, which is good for me because I've done all the wrong things that you could possibly do for an animal, that I could actually do something that he wanted. Now, it got to the day, so he's still saying right up until the morning of that he wanted to pass himself. And so he just looked terrible. And I thought, I felt cruel almost. And that's this is the problem. We're not good with death. And he's saying, no, I want to pass myself. And then my husband and I went out for lunch, and I just knew, I said, we've got to get home. He needs some intervention now. He wants some help. And so we came home, and I just checked with him. Are you okay? Like, we're going to go to the vet? And he said, yes. It was a definite yes, I'm ready. Wow. So that's the beauty of having, I've got a lot of friends say, of course, you're in your crisis mode and they can't make a decision to save themselves. And so they'll text me or ring me and say, I don't know what to do. How do they want to die? Do they want to go now? It's like, they've got weeks left. He might look really sick right now, but he's got weeks left.
Oh, wow. And you can say that in confidence to somebody?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
How do you mentioned something, humans, we handle death it's dramatic, it's traumatic, it's awful. How do animals handle death when they lose a loved one? Like if my dog passed away, how would my cat handle it? Because you often hear like, oh, they're lonely, or he died shortly after, or those kind of things.
Yeah. Animals grieve. They experience all the same mental health issues and emotions that we do. They grieve, but they're pretty quick at it. They're so practical, they see death as just a part of the process, and they don't actually see it. And I've spoken to wild animals about this. It's like this, the words they use are recycling. It's like, we live, we learn our lessons, and a lot of animals are here for our lessons to help us with our evolution. And then they go back to the earth The spirit goes wherever they go. And then they recycle. They come back at whatever point. So, they don't feel pain like we think they do. We look at these animals and think, oh my God, this dog is in so much pain.
Yeah.
What can I do to help them? But the soul of the dog has kind of just stepped out for a bit. So yes, he looks in pain and they can experience a little bit of pain, but it's not what we see. And that's really important, I think, because what we're observing of our pets really unwell or about to die is not actually what's going on for them. They don't blame anyone. They never blame anyone because we always feel guilty. And I think there's a foster carer of a cat that very quickly died a few weeks ago, and she wasn't able to be there, and she was just grief struck terribly because she felt like she let the cat down, and the cat's like, and she didn't say goodbye. That was the thing. She didn't say goodbye. And the cat said, you did say goodbye. You just didn't say it in the surgery. You said it at home or in the car or wherever you were, but I heard you. So, and he was okay. It was a lot of the time it's their time to go, and they know that. We don't know that, but they know that.
What are your thoughts on aggressive animals, or that humans perceive to be aggressive animals? Like, oh, this dog bit 3 people. He needs to be put down. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think every animal stands a chance to be in society and all that kind of stuff? Or do you think it is justified to put an animal down strictly based on their behavior towards others?
No, I don't think that's justified one little bit. I understand why we do it. Mm-hmm. And humans have this hierarchy where we're at the top of absolutely everything, and that does my head in. But, this is fear. Aggressive animals are fearful, and you've got the backgrounds of some of these animals, cats and dogs the same, and horses too. God, some horses have had some shocking backgrounds that I've come across. And they're anxious and they're fearful. And what happens, we have these energy centers in our body, and chakras, people know that terminology. And we have the base chakra, which sits at sort of the base of the tailbone there. And that governs the physical parts of the body as well as the emotional parts. But the base one is about survival, safety, and security. And it's your connection with the earth. It's your connection with your tribe, your community, the society, that type of thing. And so when an animal, and you'll see this with horses, when a horse is feeling unsafe or they're in survival mode because they're prey animals, and if you're standing next to them, they'll either whack you with their tail or push you out the side with their rump. And if you're at the front, they'll just throw the legs up. So, and then it's like, oh, this horse is dangerous, or this dog has bitten me, because we're not safe, so we bite. So the kind of the front gets affected by the survival area. And so, I think why are they aggressive? Find out the why. And I know an animal behaviorist, from my understanding of the behaviorists and the trainers, who are probably also very intuitive. They're just not, for the most part, tuned into that. There's a lot of observation that goes on, and sort of they're trained in sort of the behavior of the animal, but you actually want to hear from them. Why did you bite? Mm-hmm. Why exactly did you bite? I had a cat 2 days ago who was biting. This cat has just moved state, and the furniture was supposed to arrive in this house. And so there was some familiar smells and stuff there. So mum and cat arrive and there's nothing there. So they're just in this brand new place and with new carpet and nothing that the cat knows. And the cat's biting because it's like, this is my language. You can't hear me, so I need to get your attention because things aren't right for me. So she plugs Fellaway in, which is like a diffuser that you plug into the power point. It's supposed to calm and comfort. And this is, just affecting this cat's nervous system like nothing. It's like this cat's on edge. And so get that out. And you need to actually also understand the why. Why is she biting? Okay, she's biting because she wants your attention. Okay, why does she want your attention? And so it's just like everything's so unfamiliar and there's no boundaries. The way you talk to an animal, the way you should talk to an animal and the way we do talk to an animal creates the behaviors that we don't want. So we had to have a chat about the language she was using to this cat and this sort of thing. So no, this is anxiety. This is like all this new stuff. And I feel sick. In Chinese medicine, the digestive system is your worry and anxiety. And so, when we're worried about something, we get really anxious, and then we're not safe. So we bite, or we, lash out or whatever it is. So I think find out why they're doing whatever it is, and then fix that.
So
you can.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You said you can't what?
I was just going to say, because you can fix most things. Of course, there'll be things that you can't, but
sure,
you can manage them.
So when we have trainers out there that talk about dominance, right, or the alpha male or the head of the pack and all of that, do you believe in that approach? Like, because it would be different. Like, you would have figured out the why. But when I took my dog to a trainer, it's, you need to let them know you're in charge. You lead the way. As soon as they try to walk in front of you, yank on the choke collar, like that kind of stuff. Do you believe in that kind of intervention, or do you just take a different approach towards it?
I don't like choker collars, but I know the training. I've been to those too. But there is hierarchy for sure. And you've got a household, or you've got a barn, or whatever you've got. The humans are always here at the top. And then it's when the animal came into the house. So it's not sex, age, breed, whatever. It's like, here am I. Here's my first dog. That's number one in the hierarchy. Here's my second dog. Here's my first cat. And here's my second cat. And that's the hierarchy. Oh, maybe there's a snake. I don't have snakes, but, if the snake came in first. So there is hierarchy within the unit for sure. So, yeah, the human is the boss.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's, I don't know. I just think there's better ways. Training is important, I think, especially as a new puppy. There's so many different things that would be great as a new puppy into the house or kitten or whatever, if we knew how to do these things. And training is one of them. Chiropractics, all of these other types of things that you can do to learn and understand what you should and shouldn't be doing with a new animal.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think I just got sidetracked there a little bit on the alpha male. But yeah.
Okay. I had a curious question connecting back to, it might be a little bit of a dark question, sort of.
Go ahead. I'll approve of it.
Back to like, animals and their perception of death. Like if you were to go to a cattle farm, right?
Yes.
Are they aware of what, the end result is? Because I think of like pigs are supposed to be highly intelligent too. So just curious about that. If they understand what's going on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I come from a country town, a sheep and wheat property, and I loved the sheep there, and I haven't wanted to really ask that question.
Yeah.
Because I just feel too much for them. But there was a cow that jumped off a ship in Western Australia, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or something like that. They gave Frio. The Fremantle was the name of the port that the ship left, and they called this cow Frio. Wow. And so I did tune into that cow, like that. Those cattle were heading off, obviously somewhere to be eaten. And he was really pissed off. He was angry, and so they would know where they're going and what's going on, and it's brutal and it's painful, and it's when I've spoken to animals like the bison and oh, hello, kitty.
That's my
we have okay. Wait, hold on, real quick, please. What's going on with the kitty right now? Tell us what's happening. What's happening?
What's your cat's name?
Beans.
Beans.
Like his little toe beans. Beans.
Oh, Rob, let her do her work.
Very distracted. This cat is very distracted. So what's going on over there? What's going on over there? What's going on? Loves the name. Is it a male? Male or
Yes,
female?
a
Beans.
male.
Loves it. He just kind of got all tall and postured up when he heard you say beans. What is Dad doing, and why is he on this weird contraption often? How often are you on?
So yeah, I do video editing, and he's always, so I'm on my computer all day,
Right.
and he'll come up, step on my keyboard, sit on my keyboard, he hates it when we're in front of our computers.
Yeah, he finds it really curious. He's like, "What is this? This is kind of, I don't even know. This is weird. This shit. What's he doing?" And he also says you don't have a stop button, and you need to pull up stumps, which is probably a bit of an Australian term. You need to pull up stumps far more often than you do, because when you start working, there's no kind of end to the next start time. Would that be right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's like an addiction kind of thing?
I don't know if it's an addiction. I work in advertising, so some days I work till 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Sometimes I don't work at all. It's a really crazy kind of schedule.
Yeah.
Wow.
He absolutely loves you, though. He just thinks you are the best thing since sliced bread. And if he could be under your skin, he would be under your skin.
Oh.
And he watches you. Does he come into your bedroom at nighttime?
Yeah, he sleeps in the bed. He always sleeps like curled up with my girlfriend. He never sleeps on me, which I wish he would. But he doesn't.
You need to. Yeah, I'm just hearing you're too precious for that. But I see him like watching you at nighttime, making sure that you keep breathing, because sometimes he worries about you that you're going to forget to breathe, or you're not going to wake up or something like that. So,
holy
but
crap.
Not the girlfriend. You don't see him worrying about the girlfriend?
No, not in that way.
Well,
no,
Rob's
very
very
connected to you.
Yes.
Very connected to you.
Me. Yeah, we spend a lot of time together. But he's never like he doesn't like sit on my lap. He'll sit right near me, but never like on my lap. But
yeah,
can you tell me what that cat thinks of me, or does he have no idea who I am?
Are you two friends? Outside of here?
Oh yeah. We've been friends since we were 12.
Yeah. He's just saying they're friends.
Okay. Oh. That's all I am to you, huh, Beans?
Yeah. Well, you haven't had much face-to-face time with Beans.
That's true.
COVID and all that.
So what is the tone of Beans's voice? Is it a young lad, or?
Oh, how to describe? That's a tricky one. It's a young boy, a young man, old boy kind of thing. It's just a not an old wise kind of voice. Mm-hmm. And he speaks about this pace, so he's talking like this.
Wow.
So overall, Beans is happy. Is he content, or does he want some improvement?
Let's check him out.
All right. Rob, quiet.
Does he get outside much? He's just saying that he'd like to be outside more.
He doesn't. We live in the city. I live in Boston, and
right.
I'm absolutely terrified that I'd lose him, and we bought a harness and stuff like that because we hoped we could get him on a leash. And we could walk him outside.
You stupid human. You stupid human.
Every time I put the harness and the leash on him, he just goes like stiff and plops over, and he doesn't he just looks at the leash line like, what is that?
Yeah. That's never going to happen. That feels really weird. Mm-hmm. That's like, it's a real nervous system kind of thing, real fingernails on a blackboard feeling especially under the belly. Mm-hmm. That part under there. There was just something that he was saying before. I've lost it. I can't remember what we were talking about.
Beans,
going outside. He does. So
oh yeah.
Late at night, I'll go outside, and he wants to. I live in an apartment complex, and he wants to get in in the little hallway, with all the apartment doors, and he gets out there and his tail twitches and stuff. And
yeah,
So
very curious.
let me ask
Yeah.
you this now, based off of what you're listening to Beans and you're hearing what Rob says. Would you encourage Rob to allow Beans to go outside and explore? Like, should Rob have trust in Beans? Because he's shaking his head no, but you're not the expert, Rob. So let the expert speak. Can the cat go outside?
That's funny you say that, because when I said, I just lost what he said, what he actually said was he has no sense of direction.
Okay.
So that answers that question.
Yeah.
The answer is definitely don't let him out without being contained. And if you take him anywhere, this goes for everyone pretty much, but if you take him anywhere, he's telling me, and I know this just because I know it, make sure he's in a cage, because if the door of the car opens, if someone's coming on the back door and they've opened it without you knowing, he'd be off like a shot and lost.
Oh, I know. It's like one of my deepest fear. I've had dreams about it, or nightmares really, where I'll see him, like I'm outside, I got grass under my feet and I see him and I'm like, and I try to run after. I tell my girlfriend I would just go after him and I wouldn't stop for like days. I wouldn't eat.
Jeez, it's a little unhealthy. You really like him that much, huh?
I love this cat. Can you tell how much I love him from, my energy? I love this cat.
So
I like cat lovers.
if Beans is running and Rob's going, no, stop, right? Is there a chance that Beans going, dude, chill, I'll be back when I'm back?
But he doesn't know where he's going.
Beans just taking off and is not listening to Rob or caring about Rob's emotions?
Yeah, look, it could go either way, because if he hasn't been outside before, there are so many cats that are bored because there's so many indoor cats, and cats need stimulation. They need to get out there and do things. So if we're not actually playing with them at home with toys and things like that replicate chasing and hunting, they're really, really bored. And then they get fat and lazy as well, because, they sleep 80% of the day or whatever it is. But I would be quite concerned about him being outside unleashed.
Would you say overall is there any pressing concerns that Beans has with his lifestyle and stuff like that? Is there anything Rob can do to improve the quality of life?
You play with him, don't you?
I'm the one. I am the play parent. Yeah.
Yeah, you play with him, but he wants you to be actually more engaged with play. Like if you're just like, playing on the side there and just letting him. Do you do that?
Sometimes. Okay, so sometimes we play with a feather, and he always chases it. It's on top of the scratchy post. If you see this.
Oh yeah.
He likes, those are his favorite, and he'll pull them out of the box and put them in front of me. And so we'll play with that. But sometimes I get lazy and I'll be on my phone, and I kind of get a good angle to where I know he'll bat it around, and then I go back up. But I'll sort of multitask. So it does happen.
Because the thing is that when they're hunting a live animal, that live animal is engaged energetically in some way. Mm-hmm. They're running away, but they're a part of the process. Where that's not really engaged, and he wants you. He just loves you. It's ridiculous.
Oh.
He wants you to be a part of this. It's like a team sport. It's not just for him to play with the feather. Wow. So that's his biggest request, is just to get off the phone more, play with him fully, and you also need to get out and socialize more.
Wow.
That is very true.
That's probably very true.
Let me ask you, Beans is very happy, loves that Rob plays with him. If a child comes in the mix, she's not pregnant, but if his girlfriend was pregnant, if they were to have a baby, are you able to tell right now how Beans would react to that? Or is it, we have to have the baby come and all that stuff to be able to read something like that?
There would be some jealousy for sure.
Wow.
You'd have to manage that process. You'd have to, because this is a real problem, especially, cats and dogs, but, cats can be quite independent. So depending on their personality, but dogs particularly, a child or someone else comes into the house and they're discarded. They're not walked as much, or they're not played with as much, or with full engagement, or whatever it is. So, there's the way that we speak to animals is we communicate with them. You guys communicate with them telepathically. So if you want to tell them something, really, it's like you're impressing or intending an image over to them of whatever it is that you're trying to do. And you might be trying to say, we're having a baby. This baby is going to be in the house in, whatever time. And so you send over an image of a baby, but with you and girlfriend and Beans, and how that's going to look. You have to show Beans how you want the family unit to look. And you want to make sure you show them how you want it to look, not how you want it to not look. And that's Beans kind of scratching the baby and him being ignored. Showing also that you're playing with him as much as you do now, that you love him as much as you do now. And just like every few days until that time, especially leading up to it, just talk to him about, new baby coming into the house, or a new girlfriend, or a, flatmate even. So there's a cat in Texas that I talk to. This cat is really about management. He's quite a challenge. And so mum has got 5 foster cats or adopted cats, and this cat is a single person only. So there was a bit of a ruckus going on. So this cat went over to a friend of hers, and that was fine when it was just the 2 of them. And then he got a flatmate, and this cat hated the flatmate. So he'd poo in the passageway and he'd scratch and do all this kind of stuff. But a part of it was like, you didn't tell me. You didn't ask me if it's okay. You bring this person in here and I'm supposed to like this person. Mm-hmm. So, you kind of, I like to think of them a little bit like, kids. Like, you wouldn't leave the house without saying, hey, mate, I'm going to the shop. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure our neighbours think we're quite weird here, because we're like, hey, Kenny, our dog, we're going to the supermarket. We'll be back at 4:30 or whatever it is, especially animals with separation anxiety. You need to tell them where you're going and when you're coming back, and you send the image over, and whatever words come out of your mouth. So if I said to you, red apple, you can't not see a red apple in your mind. Mm-hmm. It's impossible not to have an image with words.
Yeah.
So when we're talking behavior and things like that, or you're sending messages or talking to them, you have to think of, what am I trying to send them? And if it's a behavior change, like stop barking, when we say stop barking, all we're doing is showing an image of a barking dog in our mind, and the dog's going, oh, cool, mum's saying barking's okay. I'll keep barking. So you want to use the language of the behavior you want, and that's be quiet or shush or something like that, with its dog with its mouth shut, jumping dogs and all that kind of stuff. So, it's the same thing. Use the language that creates the images of the behavior you want. Be consistent with it.
My cat is scratching my couch, and it sends me over the edge. And it used to, a loud noise used to spook him out. Now it's getting to the point, and then I'll do a stomp and I'm going near him. But now he does not care. I have to get like really close to him for him to stop doing it. Is he blatantly disrespecting me? What is he telling me? Get in my world now. What's he doing?
What's he doing? Oh, you two are kind of similar. Would that be? We're at loggerheads a little bit here.
I do like him. I'm going to be honest with you. My cat will just sit there, and I'll go up to him even in mid sleep, and I'll just go like, I'll like jack his mouth open, and you're like just like stupid, or I'll like grab his tongue or something. I'm just a weirdo, right? And he just takes it. I've been doing it all the time, and then I let go, and then he starts to lick himself, and it's kind of like, yeah, F you kind of thing, right? It's a love hate. I think he hates me. I love hate him.
Let's ask him. Let's check him out.
Oh.
What's his name?
So here we go. His government name is Mr. Troubles. Then it turned into Kiki, Feeky, Feek. This is my wife, just whatever, right?
Yeah.
So let's go with Feeky. Does he like any of these names? Tell me everything.
I roll. No.
What? He doesn't like any of them.
because they're not very masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a boy?
Yes, he is.
Is he a boy?
Yep.
Yes, you have been saying he, haven't you?
Yeah.
No, they're a little bit too cutesy wootsy for his macho image that he's trying to portray. And how can he be manly with a name like Fiki or Kiki? He's just like, what the fuck? He likes you, but he torments the crap out of you. But it's kind of a game. Like it's kind of fun. You irritate him.
He irritates me.
Robert, please let her work.
Sometimes he wonders, this is one of those things, how do you say this politely? Sometimes he wonders why you're there. It's like, you're kind of in my way. Like, why are you here?
Yes.
This is not part of my plan or my bigger picture. You just go into your office and go away. This is really when you're in his face because you get right in his personal space.
Sure do.
Yeah.
Sure do.
And cats, we all have energy fields, and humans, if we've got big energy, it comes over the top. Same as like a tall person with a short person, it comes over the top of them. Your energy comes over the top of him sometimes, and it's big, and it's like, get away from me. But he just gives back what you give out.
Oh, really? I
can
give it, but I can't take it. Okay. Okay. So now, I got a dog and a cat, both around 10 or 11 years old, right? The only traumatic thing that's happened in their life, I would say, or the biggest adjustment, was we moved from an apartment into a house, right? So we've been in this house since 2018. Everything seems to be going good. My wife is looking at these little puppies. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. They're so cute. My animal's okay. They're okay. They're healthy. They're looking a little rough. They're homebodies. You know what I mean? They're not in the best shape. They're just chilling. Are they ready for another animal, or should I wait? I honestly want to wait until one passes before we do something, get another animal in the house. What are they thinking right now?
So you got one dog, 2 dogs and 1 cat?
No, I have 1 dog, 1 cat, and then just a bunch of fish and stuff like that, right?
1 dog and a cat.
So if I were to get a little puppy.
I just need to pause here because your cat wants to talk about food first.
Okay.
So it's just like food. So I better just address that, and then I'll come back to that question. I don't care about other animals. I just want to talk about food. Sure. So Fifi, Kiki, what do you want to talk about food? There's never enough. I have an insatiable appetite. Why do they never feed me enough? And I'm getting shown little silver fish. What do you feed him?
He has the automatic feeder, so it's 2 times a day. I load that thing up pretty good. I mean, yeah, so 1 in the morning and then 1 at dinner time. So we're talking like 5 a.m., 5 p.m. kind of thing.
Right. Okay, so we're on dry food.
Yes.
Okay. This is probably why this conversation has gone here, because he's showing me like real living things. Nutrition for cats is something I see all the time. I would say 99.7% of cats and dogs too, digestive systems are a disaster. And we're not feeding them how they feed themselves. If they're hunting birds and lizards and mice and things like that, they're getting all of the nutrients, and they don't drink water. So the background of cats, which I'm not going to go into that, but way back when, their hydration comes from food. So when you've got biscuits and kibble and stuff like that, it's dehydrated. There's no nutrition in it, and which a lot of cats can feel unsatiated because they get addicted to them and can't stop eating them. But there's no hydration, and it's really important when you have a male cat that they have wet food, because we have huge problems with crystals in the urine, which is very, very painful. And because a male cat versus a female, like you have the urethra that sort of comes out of the penis. So for a female, their urethra is like a highway. And for a male cat, it's like a thread of cotton. So you have, urine that's got crystals in it, it'll block very, very easily. And I can tell you, I've had 3 male cats that have died of this. It took me 3 to actually figure it out and go, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Things back up into the kidneys. We have kidney disease, and it's very painful. And most often, or a lot of the time, they die if you don't get it quick enough. So dried food is not a good way to feed a cat.
Mm-hmm.
There's a style of eating which I follow myself with all of our animals. It's called BARF. It's like bone and raw food or something like that. But basically it's 80% meat protein, let's say chicken, 10% bone and 10% offal, which is your liver,
Mm-hmm.
your organs, blended up into a mince or ground beef. So whatever animal that is. And it is so highly nutritious, and it has so much hydration for them, because they can't, a cat will lap water, but unlike a dog, it's not going in. So if you've got a thirsty cat drinking out of a water bowl, that's it. That's pay attention of that. But this is a real problem that I see all of the time, and I've experienced it, and it's horrendous. So have a think about what you're feeding your cats, and there's plenty of information. I can send you some information if you like to have a look at. Have a read.
You have no idea the relationship that you've opened up with you and I, because I will be utilizing your resources all the time, free of charge, of course. But
yes.
So
He always does that.
It's a hustle. Now, my cat, the food, yes, he is always, we have a pantry door where we keep the cat, the cat food, always trying to get into that, ripping the bag open, eating. It is true. He is gluttonous. There is never enough food. As soon as it comes out, eats it, destroys it. He's hungry for more. He's not satisfied with the amount of food, or is you saying he's dehydrated?
Yeah, look, let's just have a look at that, because it's worthy of questioning. He's addicted, and this happens often. He's addicted to kibble, and this is a problem. So, is he satiated? Yes, he's full, but there's that addiction where you just need more and more and more and more and more. It's like sugar. So and sometimes I call my cat Crack Cat, because my cat has her little addictions as well. But kibble particularly can be a real problem. So he doesn't need any more kibble. He needs 0 kibble at some point. You got to transition this stuff out, and he needs some really highly nutritious wet food.
Okay.
So we have you do too. There's places in the US all over the place. We just order it in. We've got raw food diet for cats and dogs, and I'll just put my order in, and it arrives 2 days later, and I put it in the freezer. So it's all blended up. I don't have to go and buy the chicken or the beef and the bones it's all blended. I just put however much it's per body weight. And I can tell you the difference is unbelievable. The mood. So a lot of dogs and cats, anger and biting and scratching can be nutrition. The mood, the temperament, the physical energy, the glossy coat and the wet nose and the bright eyes, it's just chalk and cheese. So, cats are really hard to transition, but it's absolutely worth trying.
So my cat is stressing for me to get some better. Like when you're listening to my cat right now, and it's primarily the focus is on food, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't care about the potential of another animal coming in, or he's fine with my dog and stuff. Like what?
Yeah. What happens is they talk about what's important to them.
Okay.
So they don't, again, that's a human agenda. Here's the things we're talking about today. And they go, yeah, I'm talking about this.
Okay. Interesting.
And then they'll get to that. If they've got something they want to get off their chest, they'll do that. And then they'll come into your stuff. Having a puppy in there, that would be so irritating.
For both, or just for the cat?
For the cat. I'm just on the cat at the moment. I just see like swiping at noses here, and it's like you're in my space, and just like your cat has problems, and a lot of cats do, has problems with having people or big things in their space, whether it's a big person or a big energy, and a puppy will have a big energy. So he's not at all interested one little bit. He also says he's going to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make it his goal to be really difficult if you do that. And this will be whoever's the decision maker on bringing a puppy in, although I think this will be probably displayed to you, Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be an obstreperous, difficult little prat. Your dog would love a puppy. That sounds like a fun and a friend. Cats don't really need too many friends. Dogs love friends.
Interesting, because that's the one I'm most concerned about. I feel like it will stress him out, and it'll just like they'll die or something. You know what I mean? Like it's too much. I'm too old for this stuff. But you think
How
my
old is
dog? They're both around 10 or 11 years old. They're both born around the same time. At least 10, I can tell you that.
You'd have to match personalities.
Okay.
And I'd almost say don't get like a brand new 12-week-old puppy.
Yeah.
I'm almost seeing like a 12-month to 2-year. We've got out of that hyperactive stage. So a young dog, but not a baby. Because I do feel like you're a dog. If you could find the perfect match, that would just nourish his little soul.
Really?
To have a friend.
Okay. Interesting.
Henry.
Because what he's saying here is you're enough. Like he loves his family,
Yes.
even the cat. Like he loves his family. Cat's a bit high end for him sometimes, but he would just like to have, and because I just see them kind of lying together and wrapping around each other. But the tricky part is finding the one that matches. And what I would suggest with that is that you actually introduce them before you brought them home.
Okay. All right. Enough about me for a second and my selfishness with my animals. Is there, I don't know, do all dogs go to heaven? Just like, is there, if we're getting to the spiritual side of things, when a cat passes, do you think there's a heaven and a hell for animals, or are they going where humans are going? If we get into the whole religious spin of things, let's say there's a heaven and a hell. Do they go to where the humans are going, or they go to their own little joint?
I don't believe in hell across the board. So okay. I'm probably shown that there is no such thing for anyone. When I have, I had a dog not so long ago that passed. And when I was connecting him with his human owners that are here living, this dog was with the husband's parents who are in spirit. So they were together. I don't know these people. So I'm just like, oh, there's an elderly couple here. They're sort of in their 70s and he looks like this and she looks like that. And the dog is with them. Do you know these people? He played golf when he was here. And she played cards with a group of ladies. Oh yeah, that's my parents. So yeah, they kind of, and often the animals are all together. So like I've had many cats and dogs throughout my life, and they'll all kind of be together, even though they've not lived together on earth. They've just been a part of my life. And when I see them, they're all together. So okay. If there's people that I see their animals, I might see 2 or 3, especially if they have something to say. And the same thing, like they all belong to that person or the person's family member.
Let me ask you, let me just get back to, again, because it's all about me sometimes. Yes. With my dog, I just need your advice, okay? When we have visitors come to the door or come inside, my dog gets so excited, never violent, right? Just excited. Sometimes his nails get a little long, right? And he jumps on people and all of that. So immediately my go-to is I open the basement door, runs down there, I leave the light on, and he could be down there for 2 minutes and comes up and I go down there and there is poop. There is trails of poop everywhere. Is that I'm excited? Is that, hey, you threw me in the basement, this is what's going to happen? What is there stress? What are you thinking?
Oh, there's a lot of excitement there. It's like a nervous excitement.
Okay.
A nervous, excited poo.
Okay.
And
now
that's the digestive system kind of kicking in, and just as opposed to being annoyed at being put down there.
Okay. Now, one last thing, and I promise I'll leave you alone with this. My mom loves my dog, Henry. Okay. Because when I first had the dog, when we lived in an apartment, it was a 2-family. My mother would live downstairs. We lived upstairs. Oftentimes the dog would spend hours down there, sometimes even overnight and all that. When my mom comes to our house now, in our new house, my dog gets so excited, happy to see her. But then he immediately goes to his dog bed that we keep in the living room, destroys it, rips it like digging in. He looks stressed, but it's only when my mom is there. It's ripping the thing to shreds. Is that an excitement? Is there an underlying stress that we're not sure about? Like, what do you think my dog's relationship is with my mom?
That's an interesting question.
Rob, quiet.
I'm getting blocked here a little bit, so maybe the answer is not supposed to be revealed. But let me just sit with it, because he's being very coy and like almost turning his head away, like he's in trouble. Did your mum let him get away with, let's say, murder?
Everything. He can do whatever he wants when he's in her custody, or when she's in his custody, whatever.
Yeah. Because he doesn't want to get her into trouble, is what I'm hearing here. It's like,
Interesting.
He says, let's just say I'm excited.
Okay. Because my mom, so he's not stressing her out though. I mean, he's not stressed out by her. It's not an anxiety thing.
No, I don't see that as anxiety.
So
it's a fine line, because it's from a physiological point of view, it kind of reacts the same way. But he's very excited for it. They've got some kind of secret bond. It's like they've got this little secret handshake thing.
What's she letting him do? What's he doing? All right, he won't snitch, huh?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
he's just like he's had free reign, and he just loves her.
Okay.
And because it's like that grandparent thing where they let the grandkids get away with murder, and then you get left to pick up all the pieces of the behavior.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like grandma is just like number one.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that free workshop there. I appreciate that.
Oh, pleasure. Anytime.
Now let me ask you: are you a vegetarian?
I prefer to eat that way, but I am not totally. So I'm probably 60-40.
Okay. If I eat a piece of steak, or we share, we had dinner together, and I'm eating a piece of steak, do you have an idea of who that animal was and all that kind of stuff?
I could. I have not done that, but I reckon I could.
Wow. Okay.
I have spoken to cattle about being eaten because, and I was going to write, this is years ago, I never got around to it. I was going to write something controversial for the vegans because I actually prefer to eat that way, vegetarian, vegan, but not because of we're killing animals and it's torture and all that sort of stuff. That is a part of stuff that's going on, but I wanted to know how they felt about it. And so what I was doing was I was sort of talking to, the cattle that just get mistreated. And then there's the more biodynamic sort of organic beef and chickens and whatnot, where they're loved and they're kind of sacrificing themselves as food for us. And it's a whole different thing. And so I appreciate my food. And, I'm also brought up on a wheat and sheep property. So we lived off the land, and I have that, I guess, that taste that I've grown up with. But I don't like the cruelty aspect and animals, and I feel their pain because I feel if an animal is at an abattoir, I could feel that entire process for them. If I wanted to, I could become them and feel what's going on in their head, what's going on in their body. And it's not pretty. But then you have the other side. And so those animals are very happy to sacrifice themselves for us to eat. So they know why they're here. They know they're here to be farmed.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I think that's okay.
You hear that,
Not
Rob?
justifying.
Get off your high horse, okay? So stop
Hey.
shaming.
I eat meat.
Yeah, well, whatever. He doesn't look like he eats meat.
Canines.
Wow. Is there anybody, everybody in your family knows what you do?
Yeah, they know what I do. I don't know if they understand it. I'm the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, so obviously people have the ability to make a mockery out of anything, okay?
Yeah.
Do you sense when people are like, I'm not buying what this lady is wacko? Like, and if you do sense that, what is your response to that?
I've been pretty lucky. You get the keyboard warriors on Facebook, and they, whatever. I won't repeat what they've said to me on there, and I just block them and delete them. I might have a few words if I get a little bit, if I'm on my high horse that day, or just ask them, why are you here? Go on and follow pages that you believe in. I don't really care. I don't care what other people think. That's not part of their evolution in this lifetime. Next time they might come back and believe more. I'm really comfortable with what I do. I'm not a miracle cure for anybody. I can't read everything perfectly all of the time. And that's okay. And people can believe me or not. And so my reaction to them, I've not really had anyone so much face to face. And
of course not.
Because it's easy. People generally don't like to do that. But I would just probably walk away, or I'd keep talking about it. I think one of my aims in this lifetime is to normalize something that is promoted as abnormal, because it's very normal and it's very helpful. It's really helpful. And I've got thousands of clients that have written back to me and said, this has happened or that's happened, or, we fixed this or we found that or whatever it is. So I just go by that, and I'm happy with that.
Okay. Just a random question, because I'm excited about this. Don't get offended by this, but like, if someone's cutting down a tree and you said you talk to trees, can you hear a tree being like, no, or like what's going on there? What's the thought process behind a tree when a crew's over there chopping one down?
Well, I haven't actually. Is that what's going on over there at the moment?
Not yet, but we're going to have some trees taken down. Please don't judge me and don't be upset. But if you were here, like sitting in my living room, would you hear a tree being screaming bloody murder? Or
I haven't actually gone down that path. When you get them cut down, let me know, and I'll send me a photo of your tree, and I'll tell you.
Please.
Why not? That'll be curious.
Great. All right. Rob, anything else?
Well, I was thinking, you ever have an animal, when you're listening to them, admit something about their owner that's either like illegal or, abuse? Like they're like, this person, doesn't feed me or hits me, or I don't know, something that you had to be like, you were taken aback by, Yeah,
I get that a lot. I guess an example of that is some years ago, I was talking to this little old dog. He's like 16, and he was moving across the country to another country. And so the idea was just to check in with him. It's like, can you physically at 16 years old manage 3 or 4 flights across water and, into a new country and quarantine and all that sort of stuff? Do you understand what's going on? Are you happy with that? Can we take you, or do we need to rehome you? But as before, this dog was not really interested to start with to talk about that, because this lady had 2 young girls, and one of them, who I think was about 7, and she was getting bullied at school, and she was hiding stuff under her bed. And so this dog wanted to tell mum that she needed to find out what the secrets were of this little girl and see what she's hiding under her bed, and which was writings, like a little journal or something like that, and to go to the teacher and just check out what's going on at school. And that little girl was getting bullied. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff where they I just can't think of examples. There's so many of them, but also, there's a lot of rescue animals that I talk to where people are getting them at 5 years old or 10 years old or whatever, and they've got issues and they want to know a bit of the background. Well, see, animals don't really sit in the past. They're very good at being present, great teachers for us, because they will show me what happened to them. But then that's it. They don't want to know about it anymore. And dogs particularly, they don't want to be referred to as rescues because that holds them in that energy of being, here's my rescue dog. Oh, have you met Johnny? He's a rescue. And so, you can imagine, and I use this kind of example of if you're adopted, here's Rob, he's adopted. Oh, Rob's 50, he's adopted. We adopted him when he was 8 weeks old. Oh, have you met Rob? He's our adopted son. At 40, you're going to need therapy.
And
it's kind of because it's we're just hearing this rote and labeling, and that's what happens with the rescue or a foster, or he was discarded, no one wanted him. We kind of don't realize that our animals feel the energy of our tone, and they're also seeing the images of what we're talking about with our friends when we introduce them. So I say to people, yes, your dog's a rescue. The end. You never mention that word rescue anymore. Here's Johnny. We love him. He's a great dog. That's it.
So
but I do go back
important.
and I do go back and I look at, there was a dog that was tied to a tree. He was a rescue and he had lung issues, but that's because he was never fed and he was eating sand and inhaling sand into his lungs. So we get to sort of see that kind of stuff. They show us and or show me, and then they don't want to know anymore. It's like, I've showed you, that's it. Now fix it. Now just treat me normally.
What is the largest animal you've ever talked to?
Probably a bison, I guess. But
that's actually my nickname.
It wasn't.
It's my wrestling name. I'm a pro wrestler. I don't know if you know that.
Right. No,
not yet. I'm getting there, but still in the process.
He wants to be.
Yeah. I got a fan base out there. They call me Big Bison. But go on. So you've talked to a bison.
Wow.
I talked to the bison, and it was kind of the bison collective, if you like, just to see how are you faring in this world of ours. I like to just check. I like to talk to wild animals to see their perspective on, stress and life and climate change and all that kind of stuff. And the bison is very kind of defeated, I would say, is the way they've got that, you talk about voice. It's very deep and wise. Those people that just drip with wisdom, wise and old. And they talk quite slowly and measured. And, they gave me a rundown on when they're going to be extinct and, what's going on with the food and the water and the air they breathe, which is highly toxic. And so their hooves, they're struggling with the terrain because the hooves are softening, struggling with the terrain and winter particularly and summer for different reasons, obviously. And, their coat and everything's just really struggling to maintain the temperatures apart from, just feeling sick all of the time because everything's so polluted. So.
Okay. I have two more questions. Rob, do you have anything before I get into the serious questions here?
I was curious if you ever go to the zoo.
I haven't been to a zoo for a long time. I struggle with that.
It has to be depressing, I would assume.
That's why I wanted to ask. I figured they'd be like, let me the hell out of here, prison. Very much. Unless they're born in the zoo. If they're born in the zoo, they don't know. They've still got that innateness of whatever their thing is. But it is depressing. It's like, I went to, there's a sanctuary up far north Queensland, and it's beautifully maintained, and they bring in injured animals and animals that have been people have tried to care for them as humans, but, fed them the wrong thing, and now they can't live in the wild type of stuff. It's an absolutely magnificent facility. And I wanted to go in there and check on all of them. So we had koalas, and we had an eagle that had a broken wing, and there were some emus and dingoes and cassowary, which are these magnificent, beautiful birds here. And so there's two cassowaries in this
great enclosure that's got a water feature, like a pool thing and tropical jungle sort of stuff. But it's not a big area because they've only got so much space. And they're kind of the shape of an emu, I guess, or an ostrich, 2 legs, and they just run, they just go. One of these had been in there for 30 years, something like that, and the other one had been there for quite some time. And she was fine. She's like, oh, yeah, they're great. They look after us well. We get fed what we need to feed. And the other one is just pacing and edgy. And it's like he hated it. He'd rather die than be there. And same as the eagle that had broken its wing that couldn't survive out there. He's like, I'd rather die than be in here. I do not want to be in here. And then there were 3 dingoes, and one dingoes, because they would use the dingoes for education for the kids that come through from schools and, go and learn about dingoes. And one of them just loved that. He loved his job. His job was to be a part of the education process for the kids. Loved it. The other one didn't care either way, and the other one didn't want to be there. So, it's kind of, it's a mixed bag.
Here's my question for you.
Yes.
Steve Irwin, big name over there, right? I'm assuming, right? The stingray that took Steve Irwin's life.
Yeah.
Does that stingray still exist? Could you talk to that stingray?
Oh, yeah, I could.
And do you think that stingray is walking around with any guilt, any thoughts at all? Or is he a stud in his world? Or is it strictly business?
Probably dead, but I don't know how long.
Rob, please let her work. Number one, is the stingray alive?
Not feeling that stingray is still alive.
Okay. Do you feel any remorse from the stingray?
Stingray was doing stingray things.
And that's it. Doesn't even think about it. It's over.
That's probably a very long thought.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's like, what do you want me to say? That's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you this question because we actually have a guest coming up in May. Is Bigfoot real? Because we have a guy.
I can't wait for this guest.
Yeah, he's from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Center, and this is the real deal. I mean, do you want to burst his bubble now, or do you want to support it? What are we thinking? Talk to me.
Oh, gee, do I? I don't know if I want to answer that.
Oh,
it's like preempting something.
Do you know what? Change the world right now.
Yeah. Let me just see what I'm supposed to say. Because there's something, okay, the words I'm getting, there's something mysterious about the mystery of it. And not that anyone's going to believe anything I say. Like, there's 99% of the world are naysayers, so they'll just be going, oh, yeah, she's full of shit. But I'm just hearing that I'm actually getting a sense of it, but I'm just being told that be careful of what you say to disappoint people.
Is Bigfoot telling you this?
Excite people.
Okay, you get me all riled up now.
Yeah.
So what are you saying right now?
It's like the Loch Ness Monster, isn't it? Is he real? Do we just kind of live with the mystery of not knowing?
So you know. So you know right now.
Well, I get a sense of what I'm being shown.
Okay. All right. So Bigfoot's real is what she's saying. We'll find out. We'll find out
someday.
Maybe we'll have both of you on. I don't know. But you did make a good point. Like 99% of the population here are naysayers, and they think you're probably just being full of shit. But you're not letting that stop you. What is one thing, if you could give advice to all the humans, all of us out there, right? What can we do if we can do our part? All right, first of all, you said the bison was talking about when they could possibly be extinct. Are we doomed? Like when you're talking to these animals and stuff, do they know that we're fucking up a lot of stuff here?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a way to change these things, or is it too late?
I fight with that every day in my head, and I fight with what is the point? Why am I doing this? There is no point. There are no changes being made. We're so arrogant and just crucifying the world, because it's not how we, you know, you go back to the shamans and those ancient traditions. They know this stuff. They know that we are all one kind of consciousness and one energy. They are the masters at it, and we're too arrogant to think that animals, trees, the environment, you know, the natural world is equal to us. It's like humans are here and everything else are just bottom dwellers.
Right.
That bothers me a lot. Look, I think, and every time I think I'm going to give this world up because it's really too hard and I want more than what I'm doing, I want to do more than I am. I have the animals like come to me in my sleep, all of them. And they're like, don't give up on us. Just like be the ripple, be a ripple, and another little ripple can go out and we can do something. We can save someone somewhere, somehow. So the animals are very aware of what we are doing, you know, and the octopus, they are angry.
Octopus is pissed off?
Oh, yeah.
They're super smart.
They are very smart. And I can't even remember the words they use, but they're basically yelling at me because there was a guy on, or I don't actually know if it was a guy at all, but there was a person on Instagram a couple of years ago that had this, it's like a science thing. And he had a fun fact, octopus eat their arms. And I thought, I'm going to ask the octopus about that and see how they feel about and why. Why do you eat your arms and that kind of stuff? Now, I don't really remember too much about that whole part of it because that was the point of it. But they were just so angry with the pollution and the oil in the water and the lack of food and the temperature. Like I was sitting there while I was communicating with this octopus, sweating. Like I was so hot as I was trying to feel into him. And this was the water temperature. And he's like, clean up the oceans and get your ships to port, like get out of the ocean. And even the whales, like the humpbacks that I went whale watching last year and was just checking in on them to see what was going on. And the vibration of the ships, like this constant vibration through the oceans that is affecting them and their digestive systems and things like that, but also how their sonar systems, how they see and feel themselves in the water and where they are and all that kind of stuff. So, and the great white, you know, there's so many shark attacks going on in WA. Someone asked me to ask them why. You know, it's like the axis of the earth has tilted so minutely that you couldn't record it. But it's changed their migratory channels and they're coming closer to shore. But it's also getting warmer. The water's getting warmer. There's less food for them. But let's kill the sharks because humans have a right to swim at that beautiful beach. Oh. They don't have a right to feed in it, but we have a right to, and they're competitive. So they feel something. And the way that a human tastes to a shark, I can't describe it. There are no words. But if you can think of the most repulsive taste ever and multiply that by 10, that's how we taste to them. They don't hunt us down just because they want to eat us. So I don't know. I think we just have to keep doing something. Are we doomed? Kind of.
Yeah, I kind of.
We're not doing great work. There are people making great inroads, but there's a long way to go. And we can't change the mentality of 90% of the population, which doesn't give a shit.
You know, it's true too, because like I go to the ocean, you know, we go to the beach, right? I'm playing in the ocean. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. This is nice, right? But are they like, dude, get the fuck out of here, right? Like, are they like, we're just like some dirty thing that's not supposed to be in there, and just we're in their world, just being a bunch of dickheads? Is that how they look at us? Or are they welcoming? You know, all these beach ball, you know, these hipsters, right? I love surfing. I love doing all that stuff. Is that a selfish, in reality? Like, is that a selfish thing that we're doing? Like, are we messing with their flow when, you know, Rob and his little hipster friends are surfing on the ocean? You can tell the truth.
I think surfing is kind of a bit more inflow but at your own risk, because you're part of the thrill of the chase. But it's the sunscreens that are getting into the coral and the oceans, and and the fish, and they're eating the big fish, eating the little fish, and so I think we can harmonize, but we need to be smart about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Rob's not a complete scumbag.
I don't even surf, so I wish I could. Well,
then you are definitely not a scumbag, a beach scumbag.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Rob, any questions before I ask my famous last one, or?
I don't know. I mean, I think this has been great.
This has been great.
Enjoyed this.
There's so much more that we can do, but thank you so much for coming on here. Is there anything that you want to promote, or anything that if I want to get in touch with you, I listen to this podcast, and of course, millions of listeners out there are listening to this, right? Or they will be. Trust me now.
I said that 99% of the population are naysayers. I'm sorry, this might be the 0 people watching podcast for you.
No, trust me. They're going to love it.
Or they're just going, oh, what is this freak? Yeah, I want to watch that one. That's weird.
Or they're going to say, you know what? I'm going to tune in and listen to the Bigfoot guy because I want to know what the hell's going on. And then we're going to have you both on, and then we're going to duke it out, okay?
Duke it out.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you want to promote? How do I get in touch with you? If I'm listening to this, where can I find more information? You got any books? You got any merchandise? Hit me with it.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This has been an absolute blast.
Good.
I don't think anyone's asked me this many questions. I love it. It's good. I am in the middle of writing a book, so no, I don't have a completed book, but my website or the Facebook page will take you everywhere you need to go. The Holistic Animal Health Coach, or rommiebuhler.com is my website, but then you need to know how to spell my name. So, that's a tricky thing.
Got one question for you.
Yeah.
Do you like grilling?
Grilling is in a barbecue?
Yes. So you do. You mentioned barbecue.
Barbecues.
You use tools, utensils, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You like seasonings.
Yes.
What if I told you that there is a place that even you in Australia can go on and get some authentic American-made, Texas-made seasonings, utensils, all of your grilling gear essentials? Was that something you'd be interested in?
Well, we've got so many utensils, it's ridiculous. But seasonings.
Sauces, maybe, hot sauce, barbecue, you name it. Well, you're in the right place, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you go on to www.grillyourassoff.com, all of those things are there for you. Even if you don't want to buy anything right now, or let's say you want a t-shirt or something, right? It's all there for you. They have all the apparel. If you go on their site and at checkout, you put in promo code Reality Tonic, which is the Reality Tonic podcast, as of course you know. If you type in Reality Tonic, you get 15% off your order. Did you know that?
Sweet.
Well, you got to know that now. And guess what? The best part of this whole thing is you can continuously put in that promo code, right? You buy a t-shirt, then you go, oh, wait, I want to get some hot sauce for a friend of mine, right? You go back on there, you put in the promo code again. It's never ending. Boom. Okay. And it's people like you globally that are going to be purchasing this stuff. And you put in that promo code, and then you reap the benefits of American made hot sauce. And I hope you're excited about that, just like I am. Yes. All right. So log on to www.grillyourassoff.com for all your grilling essential needs. And I thank you so much for coming on. And I think we're ready to sign off, Rob. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, it's been a great chat. And,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Thanks for having me. Awesome.
Of course.
Wake up to reality, to reality.